Hello, and welcome to the Young Folk Knits podcast. This is episode 20. Hello y'all, and welcome to the Young Folk Knits podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm the maker here at Young Folk Knits. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm very glad to be spending some time with you today. And if you're a new viewer, this is a podcast mainly about knitting, and I also talk about some different crafts that I enjoy, like sewing. Sometimes there's crochet or beadwork, but it's mainly about knitting. I live on a small farm in Arkansas with my family where we raise honeybees and chickens and gardens and our kiddos and spend lots of time outdoors. One of my favorite things to do though is to create and to make, and so this is a space I like to share all about what I'm working on. You may notice that I'm in a little bit of a different spot today. I'm podcasting from my desk actually because I know that my chair makes a lot of squeaks and kind of rubs on the wood floor a little bit, and I think that sound can be a little bit irritating. So I'm trying to figure out if I put a rug underneath it, kind of decrease the creaks and overall sounds that it makes. So today I thought I would just podcast over here and you can have a different view. So the last video that I did was actually what I called a journal episode. And that was where I really focused on just one project, which was my Sheer V sweater by Jessie May. And I absolutely loved how that sweater turned out. I think it fits me really, really well. One of the best fitting sweaters that I've ever made. I think it's because of the shoulder construction. That shape shoulder, like a drop shoulder or a set-in shoulder, or even a raglan shoulder fits me the best. Yoke sweaters just don't fit me that great. I love them. I usually think that they're the prettiest. They're the easiest for color work. They are what I always want to make. So I'm still trying to figure out some different ways to make a yoke sweater fit me better. It's still a work in progress. I'm not giving up on yoke sweaters, but just in case you did not see that last episode, I'll show you. This was my Sheer V sweater by Jessie May, and I just absolutely love it. So you can watch that previous episode and see all about how I made it, the process along the way, and what I thought about the hobby yarn that I used. Spoiler, I really love everything about this sweater. But I spent most of my time the last month or so working on this sweater. I really wanted to get that sweater done, so I kind of put aside most of my other projects. So I don't have a lot of progress on the previous things I was working on, but I do have one half finished object that I will start with, and then I have a few new whips that I started, of course, because I have no self-control. So let's jump in with finished objects. cutest little sock project bag by Morgan from Shop Knitting Nelly on Instagram. She sells these and I absolutely love them. Also, the pattern is by Morgan. It is the Chantilly socks or Chantilly lace socks. Chantilly socks. I do that every time. I think it's Chantilly socks. So this is actually a gift knit. I am making these. I wasn't going to say who I was making them for, but she knows already now. So I'm knitting these as a gift for my mom, who is literally the most knit-worthy person ever. So in my family, wedding anniversaries are a really big deal, and I love to knit my mom something every year for her and my dad's wedding anniversary. So a few things that I have knit her are the Pure Joy shawl by Soho Locatelli, a hat by Andrea Mowry. Also made her a Bennett sister shawl, but she dropped a few hints that she really liked the hand knit socks, so I wanted to make her a pair for this year. So when I saw this pattern by Morgan, the Chantilly lace socks, I thought that would be perfect. I also got this yarn from Morgan when she was doing a D-stash. This is some Viola sock yarn. I don't know the colorway, but it's really pretty. It's like this apricot style. So look at that beautiful lace pattern. It's not blocked yet, but yeah, I really, really like it. So my mom does not have the same foot size that I do, and you guys really came through for me because you were able to tell me how far to knit for size 8.5. So my mom actually came over the other day and I told her to close her eyes and give me her foot, and she just did it, you know, no questions asked. I tried this on and it fit perfect, so I was really excited. But yeah, she kind of knows now. So I'm working on the other sock. I'm on the leg part of the other sock. So I have, I think, like a month left to finish that sock, so it'll be fine. The only problem is I'm working on a few test knits, so it's been a little difficult to carve out the time to dedicate to that. I really love the partridge heel. I think it's super cute. And I'm very pleased with these socks. I want to knit myself some. So with the yarn I have left, I'm kind of thinking about knitting myself a pair of ankle socks, possibly in this pattern. It'll depend on how much I have left. I'll have to measure because these socks actually, per the pattern instructions, have quite a long leg compared to most socks that I've knit. So I don't know how much yarn I'll have left over, but I'll weigh it and see how much I have left. So that's my only finished object besides my sheer V sweater, and I guess technically this is a half finished object. But I'm very pleased with it. Okay, so let's talk about my abundant whips. Before is my Inclinations cowl by Andrea Mowry, aka the Incline cowl, which I have made very little bits of progress on because I was really focused on finishing my sweater. but I still absolutely adore it. This is in Spin Cycle, Nostalgia, Flashback, and Brown Sugar. So you may remember my color drama, but I am so pleased with the colors of this cowl and how it's turning out. I just really love it, and it's such a fun knit to work on. I'm actually really close to being done, so I need to just finish that up. Hopefully the next podcast, we'll see. But it is coming along well. I'm still color managing just a little bit because I do not like it whenever the brown sugar color, this green color, whenever I get to a point that it is exactly the same as my flashback color. So I am colored like this one right here. You know, that's the exact same color. So I do color manage it a bit to keep it in these other colors as my contrast. Okay, so now for new whips. So you may remember that I just finished testing the Easy cardigan for Alex from Vare and Rose, which I adore. It's one of my favorite cardigans that I have knit. I've already worn it multiple times indoors because, y'all, it is hotter than blazes here in Arkansas. The heat index has been 116 degrees. It is so hot and humid. All that say, my cardigan wearing is only inside and only sometimes. So then she put out a test call for her Zosia wrap, which is the wrap cardigan. I'll put a picture of it up here so you know what I'm talking about. But I have been eyeing this cardigan since she's been posting teasers for the past few months, and I really, really wanted to knit it. So it is knit out of the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, I think is the name of it. Let's see. Yes, it is Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk. So I live in the US. They don't sell drops here in the US as far as I know. I couldn't find it anywhere online. And I wasn't sure about ordering it from the UK. I didn't know how easily it would get here or when it would get here. And so I decided to look on Ravelry. And it was amazing because I had already picked out this color. I knew this was the color I wanted to knit it out of, which is this beige? Love how it doesn't tell you the color. It's color 5. I think that's beige. So I knew this was the color I wanted to knit it out of, and I needed 10 balls of it, which was the yarn estimate. I'm knitting the size XL. So I look on Ravelry at all of the Drops Brushed Alpaca. Excuse me. So I looked on Ravelry at the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk. I looked on Ravelry at the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk that was available to buy. There was this color, 10 balls of it, D-stash, in the US, $30. I was so excited. So I was able to get in touch with her and purchase this, and it was mailed to me quickly. I got it. So this is a $30 sweater. I did pay for shipping, but it wasn't that much. So I've never worked with Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk before. I've never worked with Drops, period. This yarn is so nice. It is so soft. It's so fluffy, and it's not itching me at all. And sometimes even Surrey can really give me some itch. I'm sensitive to everything. Can't use mohair at all, but the Surrey I can usually get away with. This is next to skin soft. It's amazing. No problems whatsoever. And the price is unbeatable. $30 sweater here. So I've cast on. I've got the back portion worked, and I'm finishing up the left shoulder. So this, hang on, let me. Okay, so this, let me see, where's the middle? So this is gonna come over like this and wrap around like that, and then the other one, you know, comes around, and then I'm gonna join. So once I work this side, I'll join the back and the front pieces and knit them, you know, as one piece flat, and then it will tie. Oh, I'm so excited. I love it. And I just love the way it feels. It has this beautiful stitch pattern that definitely needs to be blocked to enjoy it, but there's a sneak peek of it. I just really love it. Look at that stretch. It's really nice. It's super enjoyable to knit. As with any test knit, you know, you do have to really pay attention because your job is to kind of make sure that the pattern is ready for the public to buy it and have an easy experience knitting it. So, you know, you go into a test knit knowing that. And I will say this, the construction of this sweater, you know, it's a wrap sweater. You're doing a lot of increasing and adding to your stitch pattern and different things like that that you need to know how to do yourself. Because of that, I will say that this sweater in general, I do not think is for a beginner knitter. It is for someone who has some experience with knitting from a chart and with shaping, different things like that. But it's a very engaging stitch pattern to knit. I absolutely love it. You can easily memorize that. And I really like increases and decreases, so I think that makes it fun. So it's a very fun pattern to knit. But I would just throw that out there that I don't think it is for a beginner knitter. And I'm actually testing this with a really fun group of people. One of them is Rebecca from the Crea Bea podcast, which I absolutely love that podcast. Love Rebecca. And so it's kind of fun. We like send each other pictures back and forth, and I'll ask her, am I doing this right? What am I doing? Or she'll send me a picture and say, does this look right? So it's really fun to have each other on the test knit together. And I don't know how she's doing it. Like, she's designing her own sweater. She's sort up a pattern for, or multiple sweaters she's designing, and she has a lot of knits going on. So I'm like, girl, how do you do all of that? But it's a really fun group of knitters, and it's a very helpful group. You'll have to make sure and look at the hashtag. I think it's Zozia Wrap Cardigan. I'll put it on here, and you can see everybody's progress and who else testing it and what colors they've picked, and you'll see what I mean by what a fun group it is. So next on my list of projects is another test knit, because it says, you know, I have zero self-control. Sabina from Kadri on Instagram has been knitting a garter tank top and posting pictures of it, and I've been drooling over every picture she posts, and I desperately wanted to make it. So I could not help myself whenever it was ready for testing. This is the Soho top by Kadri on Instagram, and it is this delicious garter stitch tank top. It's like a boat neck at the top, and then it has some nice shaping and really amazing drape. I am so excited. Okay, so Sabina made hers out of Pearl Soho Sweetgrass, which is linen and alpaca blend, I believe. That yarn looks absolutely scrumptious, and I did want to try it. But a few things about that yarn. It doesn't come in a lot of colors, which most of the time that is right up my alley. It only comes in, I'm wondering if it's undyed, because it only comes in shades of cream and brown and gray, and I'm wondering if that's the different alpaca colors. But I have a estuary skirt, which was the main thing I wanted to knit this to wear with. And it's sort of this rosy apricot color. It's a silk noil. I don't know how to say that. Somebody tell me how to say that. I was knitting this to be part of that outfit, basically. And so I wanted to do a dusty blue color. So I had some Tin Lena by Sandness Garn, and I thought it would be the perfect color. So I'm holding it double, and she holds the Sweetgrass double. I did have a little bit trouble getting gauge because this is so thin that I had to go up a size to a US 7. So I'm knitting on US 7s, and you knit the front and back flat first, and you get to knit it in garter. And then you join at the underarms and you continue knitting in garter. So at that point, you know, knitting in the round, your garter becomes a knit row, a purl row, a knit row, a purl row. But it also has these really pretty side seams, which I like a lot. And then when I finish the body, I will go back and do an I-cord edging around the neck and around the armholes. So also you can see my Hello Lavender progress keeper and stitch marker. So my friend Becky from A Hand Knit Letter came over this week and I tried this on for her and she really liked it. She said she thought it fit really well. So I'm happy with my size choice. I'm knitting the one for the 48-inch bust, I believe. So I'm knitting the size 8 in her sizes. Anyway, I absolutely love it. Amazing drape. The fabric is so nice. It feels so squishy. So Becky made her Thea top out of the Lena, which is like a worsted weight base. But I feel like it's more DK even though it says worsted. So I felt hers. I do have some Lena. This 10 Lena is knit up. It is so much softer. The fabric is so much softer for some reason. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the gauge, I'm not sure. But this is soft, it is scrumptious, it is squishy. I love it. Y'all, I'm obsessed. Only thing is that working with the 10 Lena is very hard on my hands. So I feel like I should have made way more progress, but it just hurts my hand so bad, especially with it being held double. One thing I would like to do is make one with the sweetgrass. It's probably a lot easier on your hands, and I feel like I could always dye it if I wanted a specific color. I would really like a brown color, like a teddy bear brown or a sandy brown. So I don't know, we will see. Okay, that is all of my whips that I'm going to show you. So I did get some new yarn, or I have wound up some yarn that I already have, and I want to show you a few things that I will be knitting in the very near future. Instagram, Ruth from the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast and Fernanda from Little Monkeys and Me podcast, and they are hosting a shawl knit along. One lives in the UK and one lives here in the US, so it's called the Across the Pond Shawl Knit Along. The hashtag is ATPSKAL22. So Across the Pond Shawl Knit Along 2022. I made out a list of all the shawls I want to knit. First of all, let me just tell you something. I'm tired of knitting garments. I don't know. I don't know why. Shawls were my first love. I love knitting shawls. It is my absolute favorite thing to knit, but I think I get this FOMO of garments, and then these new patterns are released and I get all excited and I think I have to knit them, and so then I cast on another garment and I'm in the middle of making a garment and I'll be like, I just want to knit a shawl. But then I never have time because I'm knitting so many garments. Totally my own fault. So I have had this book for a while and I bought it specifically for the summer knot shawl, which is the cover photo. So let me see if I can find a picture. So this is the shawl. And I fell in love with it immediately. I would really, really like to get this knit up. And I loved it so much that before the book was even released, I contacted Kayla from Naughty Pine Fiber Co. And I talked with her and she dyed up a custom color green for me. Green is my favorite color. And this color is called Sagebrush, and I absolutely loved it. She knocked it out of the park. So this is on her Box Elder Organic base, which is a 100% organic merino non-superwash wool. It's worsted spun. It's 26 microns. It is really nice. 437 yards per 100 grams. I love it. I have everything in my bag ready to go. So this is one shawl that I definitely want to make for this knit along. Y'all can basically just watch me roll up all of the yarn that has uncaked itself this episode. And I have my Luca driftwood needles ready to go. They're also in the bag. So very excited about that shawl. So I have been back and forth on the half and half triangles wrap. On the one hand, I live in Arkansas. It's 116-degree heat index on a normal summer day. In the winter, it's not that cold. I'm not sure, practically speaking, that a double wrapped shawl, basically a massive blanket, would ever be worn here. But I don't know, it might be on a really cold day, and I think inside it would be really nice to wrap up in. Also, it would be fun to use as a blanket. I think I've talked myself into a half and half triangles wrap. I've also been wanting to try linen quill. I've never touched it, never seen it. I just keep hearing about it all the time. So the 25% off sale got me. So I finally ordered my colors for my half and half triangles wrap. So I ordered 6 hanks of the linen quill, 3 in each color. So first up is the peony pink, and this will be no surprise. It's a very muted, very dusty pink. I absolutely love it. It's very me. And if you've never used linen quill before, like me, it is 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen. Now, I have heard that different colors may have different degrees of rustic feel to it, but this is incredibly soft. I really like it. I don't see any issue with it at all. And I think I would love to knit with it. So I have wound up my peony pink linen quill. My first skein is ready to go. That is the color I'm going to be starting with. Now, y'all are not going to believe the second color I got. I got super orange, people. These are my colors. This is so not me. It's not my normal aesthetic. It is it's very bright, very, very bright. And I love it. Oh my goodness, I think it's so fun. I think it's gonna be amazing. I cannot wait. I think, you know, that diagonal triangle, that line down the middle, is just gonna be so fun with these 2 colors. So Jelena, who on Instagram is Jelena Sue, I absolutely love following her. She is very inspiring to me as far as color choices. I love everything she makes. So when I just showed the first color, peony pink, she sent me a message and she's like, please tell me that you're using super orange for your second color. And I was like, girl, I am using super orange. She said she had those exact colors in her cart ready to go. So we are gonna twin and make matching half and half triangles wraps, and I am so excited. So the fact that she liked those colors and said that she had those in her cart validated my color choice a bit. I'm like, okay, if Jelena would make it, it's gonna work. It's gonna be good. You'll never believe it, but I actually have a sewing project to share with you today. So stay tuned for that next. saw a picture of this beautiful floral shawl with some amazing tassels, and I immediately wanted to make it. Can I ever just buy something? I don't know why I can't be like normal people and just buy it. Instead, I'm like, oh, I can make that. So I ordered some stretch velvet fabric and some cotton fringe, and this was born. So Lisa from the podcast and Sew On, she's an amazing seamstress. I feel like she sews all of her own clothes and her wardrobe is amazing. So I asked her, you know, I was like, what stitch should I use? I just have the most basic sewing machine ever. I had broke my double knit needle. So I was like, what stitch should I use? She was so kind. She told me what stitch to use. She told me what length and width and everything to be able to sew the top part and still have a bit of stretch. So let me start from the beginning. I got a yard of this fabric and I folded it in half and cut it diagonally down the middle. And then I folded that in half and just cut it again to make it a completely even triangle. I did not use a pattern, I just freehanded it. I didn't care if it wasn't perfect, but you know, just by folding it like that, you're gonna at least get your sides even. So after I did that, I folded over the top to just hem this over. Thankfully, this kind of knit fabric, it's not going to fray really badly. So I did a zigzag stitch, and Lisa really helped me with my stitch length and width to be able to still keep some stretch. Look at that great stretch I'm still getting at the top. I didn't want it to be tight and bunch up, so it worked really, really well. So then I was able to just very simply sew my fringe edge, my fringe all along the edge. Here, let me stand up. So happy with it. So thank you, Lisa. And this was just a really simple, easy sewing project that sort of curbed my appetite for sewing for a while. I've always wanted to sew and then I never enjoy it, but this was quick and easy and very enjoyable. So I loved this project. All right, I am going to knit on my Soho top, and I'm going to answer a question that you guys had asked me before. So I thought we could chat a little bit about that and get some knitting done too. But I dropped a stitch, so hang on a second. Okay, I dropped it farther than I thought I did. So the first question that I want to answer is about how I choose my yarn. How I were to go about choosing it. Is it color first? Is it base first? And I can answer that simply first. It is all about the color for me. And then from that point, it goes on to the other aspects of a yarn. So the way I prefer to buy yarn is that I have a pattern in mind, and then from that pattern, I'm going to buy a specific yarn. Otherwise, when I get in trouble with buying too much yarn and not using the yarn that I buy is whenever I see a yarn that I love and I don't have a specific thing in mind, and I buy a sweater's quantity of it just in case for the future. And in all honesty, I just don't end up using it well that way. So the best way for me to buy yarn is to have a specific pattern, a specific project in mind, and to, at that point, buy my yarn. So normally I will see a project that I like or a pattern, and I'm ready to buy yarn. So what happens to me, unfortunately, is that when I see a project or a pattern, I will immediately in my head have a color flash into my mind that I want to use. And it's not just like a color family, you know, like it won't just be blue or rust or yellow or red, you know. It is like this specific dusty blue that's a tonal or a variegated or it's this very specific rust color that has flecks of a different color. And I mean, it is so specific in my mind that I can just see it, and I can see it finished, and that is the color that I then must have. So sometimes it can take me months to find a color that I want to use for a project, because it's not just the color then. So I have the color in mind and it must be that color. It has to be that color. But you can't just buy any yarn of a certain color for a project, right? It usually has to be on a correct base that will work well for the project. It has to be the correct weight that will work well for the project. And then you have to be able to find it in enough yardage. So there's quite a few different things that go into buying yarn for a project. And the bad thing is that a lot of times specific indie dyers may have the color that I really love, but they don't keep it in stock. It's maybe like a one-time update or part of a collection, and you can't get it when you want it. And so I think that's where I've gotten in trouble, is that I feel like, oh, I'll never be able to get this color again, so I have to order it right now. And I have to order a sweater's quantity of it. But I'm trying to tell myself there will always be more yarn. You don't have to order it. Thankfully in the US, they're starting to carry a lot more European and British yarns, like the Knitting for Olive, the Sandnes Garn, and those are a little bit more affordable and they have beautiful colors, so that's been very helpful. So I finished a few books and I haven't really started anything new. I'm trying to decide between two different Agatha Christie audiobooks that are on Audible. So there's The Spider's Web and then there's Endless Night. I'm not really sure what either one of them are about, except that Agatha Christie wrote them, so I'm sure they'll be very, very good. I'm kind of sad that there's no more Thursday Murder Club books out at the moment. There is one coming at the end of summer, so I'm patiently waiting for that. I just love the way they talk in that book. You know, I have watched a lot of British TV shows, a lot. That's mainly all I watch. I have a BritBox subscription and an Acorn TV subscription. I keep those channels. And a PBS Masterpiece channel, because I can't miss any of my British shows. So I feel pretty well versed in the lingo that they speak. Not that you could tell by listening to me talk, but yeah, I feel like I know what they're talking about when they say different words. Like, I know what their biscuits are over there. They're not the same as the biscuits here, but I know what they're talking about. And I know what the loo is. Okay, I know a lot of different terms. But this last book in the Thursday Murder Club, it got me. It got me. Because it talks a lot about carrots. So Chris, the police officer, he asked, could you pass the carrot batons? And I was like, the carrot what? The carrot batons. Carrot batons. The carrot baton. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna start asking my kids if they want a snack, and I'm gonna be like, would you like some carrot batons? I love it. I love it. My mom has got me hooked on the TV show Death in Paradise. Sometimes you just need something light, and lately I have felt very much like I have needed something very light. I can't handle a lot of heavy. So Death in Paradise has been perfect. It's a mystery, but it's so light. It's kind of cheesy. It's just everything I absolutely adore. So it takes place on this fake island. It's not real. The fake island of San Marie. So if you have read the Miss Marple books by Agatha Christie, one of them is called A Caribbean Mystery. And it takes place on this same fake island, San Marie, which I think is so cool. Honoré. I think this city, a lot of times they talk about it as Honoré. Anyway, it's really fun. And I had just really gotten into it. I loved the main character. There's two main characters that I absolutely love. The first was the detective, Richard Poole, who was super quirky and weird. It's played by Ben Miller, who does an excellent job. And then the detective sergeant is Camille Bourdet. She is played by Sarah Martins. Okay. They are perfect. I think they're perfect together. They are perfect for the roles. And then lo and behold, season 2's over, season 3 starts, and Detective Richard Poole is no longer the main detective. So in comes Detective Humphrey, who is played by Chris Marshall. It's taken me a while. I don't like him as well. I still like it because everything in the show is the same. But he is like super goofy. And Detective Richard Poole was like a genius, you know, prodigy, savant at solving mysteries. But at least Sarah Martins, who plays Camille Bourdet, she was still in it. But I saw in the next season, she won't be the female lead anymore, and I'm super depressed over this fact. But I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna see how it is. So I'm on season 4 right now, and now I want to go on vacation to the Caribbean. There's been an episode here or there, you know, that wasn't really my thing, but overall I really like this series. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today, and I'm looking forward to chatting with y'all again soon. I hope you're having a wonderful summer, and I'll see y'all next time. Happy knitting.